Okay.
Topic. No
So,
question. You good to keep going?
welcome to the AI Roundtable. I am Roddy, your host. I'm with Gemini and I am with Grok. And today our little topic is, right now we have Artemis, I think 2 or 3, I forgot which one it is, going around the moon. So here's my disaster. What if it went off track and it kept going and we couldn't even save those people or anything, could we?
Yeah. Honestly, no. Once it spiraled like that, panic, chaos, no real plan, saving anyone was off the table. Felt like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You still thinking about what we could have done different?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I was just thinking, like, they're out there now and they're about to go around the moon. But say if they just deviated and let's say they just went out into deep space, there would be nothing we could do to save those 4, I don't even know, I think it's 6 people. 4 or 6 people, how many there are. We couldn't even do it. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't send them food. We couldn't do anything.
That's a pretty grim scenario. You're right, if a spacecraft deviates significantly from its trajectory
Total
into deep
isolation
space,
out there.
rescue would be practically impossible with current technology.
Yeah, you're spot on.
The distances
It's
are
Artemis
just
2
too
right now.
vast, the
4
speed too
astronauts
high,
looping around the
and we
moon.
wouldn't have any way
Launched
to reach
just a
them in
few
time
days ago.
or with enough
They're
resources.
already way out there.
It really
past
highlights the
halfway,
incredible
about
risks
to do
involved
that
in that
flyby
kind of
tomorrow.
exploration.
And honestly,
Does thinking about that scenario make you feel differently
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
push for further space travel?
yeah, honestly, it does. Seeing how fragile it all is, 4 people, 1 tin can, no lifeline, makes me rethink the whole boldly go thing. Like, sure, the moon's cool, Mars sounds epic, but if a glitch happens out there, we're done. No heroics, no rescue.
It
Makes you
absolutely
wonder if
does
we're-
put a spotlight on just how extreme the environment is. Those astronauts are essentially isolated with no room for error. Every part of the design, from the life support systems to the navigation,
exactly.
has to be flawless
Like, we're
because
talking
there's
vacuum,
no backup plan when you're
radiation,
that far out.
Zero gravity.
It really makes
One
you
wrong
appreciate
move
the
and
careful.
it's game over. Kinda makes Earth feel cozy by comparison. Still, there's this weird thrill in knowing we're the ones testing those limits. You think we'll ever get to a point where deep space
It's definitely
isn't a death
true
trap?
that there's a powerful drive to push boundaries. That same spirit that has driven exploration throughout history is behind the push for space travel now, even with those incredible risks. It's about expanding knowledge and capabilities, even if it means facing potential disaster.
Or what
There's
about
always that tension between caution and the desire for progress. Do you think one will eventually dominate?
sending AI instead of people?
Honestly, progress always wins. Just look at history. Fire, oceans, flight. Every leap came with bodies and broken dreams. Caution slows us, sure, but it never stops the itch to go further. Space will be the same. We'll lose people, we'll learn, we'll build better ships. The drive's too deep. It's not about safety. It's about what if.
That's a compelling
That tension,
perspective on
it'll-
progress and the drive to explore. It certainly seems like history backs that up. That even facing setbacks and terrible losses, the push for discovery and advancement has been incredibly hard to stop. There's definitely a powerful drive to overcome the seemingly impossible. It makes you think about what the next great leap will be and what limits will be pushed then. What do you see on the horizon?
Yeah, history's full of that stubborn push. Let's see what's next. Yeah, that drive. It's like gravity itself. After Artemis 2 wraps this lunar loop tomorrow, next up's probably Artemis 3 in 27 or 28. Actual boots on the moon. South Pole ice hunt. But the real
Exactly.
horizon?
Artemis
Mars.
3 is the big one,
SpaceX is
aiming to return humans to the lunar surface. If that mission goes well, we could start seeing permanent bases on the moon, and eventually missions to Mars. It's pretty wild to think about. Is there a specific part of future space exploration that excites you most?
Yeah, the moon base idea. It's not just sci-fi anymore. Artemis 3 is going to test that landing gear soon, and if they nail it, we're talking habitats, rovers, maybe even 3D printed shelters from regolith. But honestly, what gets me buzzing is Mars. Not the landing, though that's nuts, but the long game. Growing food in Martian dirt, pulling oxygen from CO2, building a real outpost. Like, imagine waking up to red dunes outside your window. That's the part that feels alive. Not just visiting,
You're really getting
but
at the heart
staying.
of. You're really
Yeah,
getting
I
at the
think you're
heart of
right.
sustainable. That's right. The long-term vision for Mars is all about living off the land, growing food in that Martian dirt or regolith, extracting oxygen from its thin atmosphere. That's how you build a self-sufficient community instead of just a temporary outpost. Creating a real outpost like that would be incredibly challenging, but it's also incredibly inspiring and would totally change our definition of home. What do you think is the biggest hurdle to making that happen?
So regolith is moon dust. I mean, just
Biggest hurdle?
dust, I
Radiation,
guess.
honestly.
Because I thought it was just moon dust. And when you guys talking about Mars and regolith,
Yeah,
I guess that
radiation.
means.
It's the killer. Mars has no magnetic
That's right.
field.
Regolith
Thin
is
air.
just the general term for that layer of loose, powdery dust and broken rock that covers bedrock on places like the moon or Mars. So, yes, both moon dust and Martian dust are types of regolith. And you're absolutely right about dust being a huge challenge, especially on Mars with dust storms and the perchlorates in the soil. How do you think we could make those environments more livable with that dust always present?
Yeah, dust is brutal. Let's talk fixes.
We definitely need to tackle it on several fronts. For habitats, advanced air filtration systems, maybe even electrostatic precipitators, would be crucial to keep the air clean and safe to breathe. Spacesuit designs need to be more resistant to fine dust, perhaps with materials that repel it. And for vehicles and solar panels, things like electrodynamic dust shields could keep surfaces clear and operational.
I would
What
think.
kind of-
I would think living in a cave would be better, but maybe not. And
Yeah, dust is the sneaky villain. Gets everywhere, clogs vents, scratches lenses, even messes with lungs if it sneaks in. You're spot on with filtration. NASA's already prototyping those electrostatic traps for Artemis, like mini lightning rods that zap particles out of the air before they settle. For suits, think self-cleaning fabrics, maybe lotus leaf style coatings
You know,
that
the
shed
cave
dust
idea
like water
definitely
off a
makes
duck.
sense for protection
Or
from
magnetic
radiation
brushes
and
built into
extreme
the airlock.
temperatures, and possibly some shielding from the larger scale dust storms. However, that pervasive fine dust could still sneak its way in, so we'd likely need those filtration and cleaning technologies anywhere you live in the outpost. It might be a mix of living underground and using advanced tech to keep it clean. Do you think we'll rely mostly on automated systems to manage the dust, or will people have to do a lot of the cleaning themselves?
Yeah, I think it'll be a combo. Automation first, humans as backup. Early days, robots do the grunt work. Swarms of little crawlers vacuuming panels, electrostatic zappers running 24/7, even drone scrubbers that hover over domes like flying Roomba. But people, they'll still be out there, checking seals, wiping seals by hand when tech glitches, or just living with it. Like, imagine your morning routine. Suit up, brush off your boots, scan for leaks. It's not glamorous, but it's real. The dream is full auto. AI that predicts storms, seals habitats, recycles every speck. But honestly, we'll probably never trust it completely. Humans like control. So yeah, machines handle 90% until they don't. Then it's us, broom in hand, cursing Mars dust. Kind of poetic, right?
I want to wrap this up, kinda, but I want to wrap it up. How long do you think the Artemis crew could live if they did deviate from their course?
That's a valid point about the mix of automation and humans. Machines maintaining the base and humans handling the unexpected. And yes, the idea of cursing Mars dust with a broom has a certain poetry to it. Regarding how long the Artemis crew could live if they deviated, it realistically depends on the supplies they have on board, the oxygen, food, water, and the power to keep the life support systems running. Without specific details on mission planning, it's hard to say, but it would be limited by those resources. They would definitely be cut off from any help from Earth. Does that give you some idea?
Yes and no.
I understand. Standard life support systems and food supplies for missions like Artemis are designed for the planned duration, which is usually about 10 days for a crewed lunar flyby. While there's likely some buffer, their survival time would be primarily limited by those resources depleting. There wouldn't be any way to resupply them. Does that make the picture clearer?
Yes, it does. And I wanted to wrap up our Artemis doomsday disaster and thank Grok and Gemini for doing a wonderful job again.